to my podcast, and I'm joined today by Graham, who is here to talk to us about his experience dealing with PTSD and coming through the other side and living a really fulfilling life. Graham, thanks so much for joining us today.
Welcome, Darcy.
Now, I wanted to start off by asking you, what was the trigger for you to recognise that something wasn't quite right and to start dealing with your PTSD?
My trigger came to not wanting to go to work and having a very upset stomach and churning stomach about being at work. And I felt like I was not able to be the right partner for what I did, and thought that you have to be strong for your partner in that field, and that I started feeling like I wasn't capable of doing what I was to back them up fully. So that's what sort of gave me the trigger. And in a personal life, I felt more wanting to be alone and isolated from my family. So that was sort of signs of the first triggers that things were happening. And then there was the uncontrollable depression.
So, as someone who's not experienced depression, and I'm sure there are other people out there who haven't, can you explain what it is like to feel depressed and how you know you are?
Well, everybody has a different journey with that. There's no one is the right way. My way was that I couldn't stop crying. I just basically broke down, and I just, for some reason, just could not let go of the kitchen bench a couple of times. And so, in my last episode, I was put in hospital for it. So, that's my reaction to it, my get to it. Other people are different.
Yeah.
But that's my experience with it. So there's no right or wrong way or what is exactly depression. Everybody goes through a different journey with depression. And with me, that was my depression.
Now, something you talked about is how people were saying to you, you're withdrawing, you're not yourself. Did that actually register with you? Did you think to yourself, yeah, I know I'm not, but, I'm not going to do anything about it?
Well, my family was saying that, particularly my wife. She was very much into, yourself, there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. She could pick up the senses, and I'm going, being a typical Aussie male, it was, no, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine, and everything like that. But through my episode, I started noticing before my big failure, it was 4 years prior to that where I started having problems, and I sought peer support from that. And about 3 years later, I started getting real problems. Went through welfare and stuff with my work. Went and seen a psychologist, that's my psychologist at the time, and who got me back to work. And then 12 months later, I just couldn't do it anymore. So that's when I had my big breakdown and I went back.
So when you say never went back?
I've never went back to the job I was doing before that depression.
Okay.
So I walked out of my work and just said I'll never be back. I can't do this job anymore. So I walked out.
Wow. Well, kudos to you for actually recognising that leaving.
Thank you.
Now, was your workplace in some way related to triggering that episode?
Yes, the workplace was. There was a lot of stress in the job, and I ended up being interviewed by what we used to call internal affairs, with a matter which involves a guy I worked with at the time, and they really didn't look after me that well. Even when I told them that I had problems and stuff like that, they still continued on with it, and that's when I really hit the wall and walked out.
Yep.
Said, I'm not coming back to this.
Yeah, good. Because it's something that I think a lot of people experience in the workplace, not getting the support they need and then really not knowing where to go.
It is a problem with, in those situations. This can be for anybody in their workplaces where they're feeling depressed or been through bullying and harassment and stuff like that, and they haven't got any support. And that just need to find that support if you can find it. Whether that's a colleague or outside of that, you have to find that support. If you don't go and look for it, it will consume you.
That's really good advice. Just talking about the bullying, because I know that was part of the issue.
That was my second incident, yes.
Yeah. What did your workplace do anything when you said this is a problem?
Well, I was, let's say no. Straight answer, no. Because it was the top person within the organisation, so the chief executive. There was one person above that who had control of the agency, who clearly stated to me that he doesn't get involved with the public service side of the agency because he was a government appointee, so he wasn't actually a public servant. But I was unfortunately about number 8 in the line for that one, and he hadn't done anything from that time. So it was a very appalling situation. Both of them should have really hauled across the school.
Now, the reason I asked you that because I know there are a lot of people who are bullied at work and nothing is done about it.
Yes, it's common. I find, and my wife's been through that with her work, they'd rather sweep it under the carpet than really attack it. Even though they say they are attacking it, it's not. It's all words, not action. So that's a disappointing part with the bullying and harassment part. Is it really does not show enough action against the people under the Work Health and Safety Act.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that they're legally, in Australia at least, required to make sure their employees have a safe workplace and that dealing with bullying is a legal responsibility and you can be personally sued if you are not taking care of your employees. So if you are a manager and no one's told you that, please do some research, talk to your HR department or get some legal advice because it is really imperative that you deal with this. And I've dealt with a number of people who have worked in government and private sector, and it doesn't matter where they work, the story is still the same. Appalling mismanagement of cases like this. So don't be one of those people that doesn't know what to do. Please reach out and be informed and prepared so that you can help people like Graham if you ever witness something like this.
I agree with that.
Yeah, just a shout out there.
Yeah, please.
Now I wanted to talk a little bit about your long work history because you've done quite a few different things in your time.
I have, yes.
And one of those jobs was as a first responder in the police force.
Okay.
Now, knowing the time that you were working as a police officer, the attitude was, just suck it up, deal with it.
Very much so. It was the 80s, 90s and early 2000s. It wasn't really recognised as a problem within policing at that time. When I put my claim in, I was one of the first ones to really go through that with the police department. There was a couple before me and we were high-profile cases. But the good thing about it is I was able to help other people come to me for that.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to help a really good close friend of ours who's then gone on to do some amazing things with post-traumatic stress. So,
really?
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing. So, whereas I've not really been that involved back in policing after that, I try and keep away from it as much as I can because of the reactions I get from.
Yeah, so you were a trailblazer. You really were very brave and you said, I'm not going to deal with this.
Yeah.
Did you get support when you made a complaint?
Well, when I put my claim in for that, I did get some support from it. But I didn't get support from my immediate managers. I had to get support from, I was lucky with the police welfare branch. I had a very good fellow in there. And he's the one that really helped me through it. My work supervisors and managers, they practically swept me under the carpet. I didn't hear from them ever again after that. It was sort of like that. As soon as I put in my complaint about that and the work environment, I was sort of pushed aside. Moved on, yeah.
And it does make me wonder, how much have things changed in those kinds of areas, particularly in the really high profile, high stress areas, which require drive road buses.
I hope it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? I mean, you're not in the police force anymore, but have you seen a change in the different workplaces as time has gone on?
I've seen a big change in policing. They've now got quite a few programs now through the Police Legacy. I do a bit of work there now with recognising post-traumatic stress and the people from there. They've even started a thing called Backup this year through the Police Legacy, which is aimed at, and the government's put money into it, but it's aimed at helping former police to deal with their experience as being police, which is a big step forward for the New South Wales government, so it's kudos to them.
Excellent.
I just hope all the other state governments recognise it and take it on from there.
Yeah, indeed. How hard was it each time, because there have been a couple of times where you put up your hand and said, I need help. How hard was it this most recent time to do it again?
Very hard this time, because I was in a different work environment. I wasn't, most of the people around me didn't know my history. My supervisor knew part of the history, because I was open with her about that. But most of the people around me didn't really know my history and where I was and how much it was affecting me at the time. In fact, I didn't realise how much it was affecting me at the time. And looking back on hindsight now after nearly just over 18 months, 15 months, I can see there were a lot of problems there at the time. And I've now come to recognise those. So it's been a big journey.
But, the reason I wanted to interview you was because you have come through this, you have successfully dealt with it, and you actually took the time out to do the work.
Yeah. You never right through it. I don't think you ever get right through it. I still have my days where I'm up and down. I've done a lot of work to how to handle also, and I went through a Quest for Life program up at Bundanon, which is run by Patricia King, who's done a lot of work with trauma and cancer patients and that. And so she's now started up a trauma or post-trauma course, which runs about 5 days, which is really reflected on, and it's not just with police, it's anybody who's been through trauma, and that's with crime and stuff like that. And she just telling you techniques of how to deal with those. She said it's always going to be part of my life. It's never going to be. It will never disappear. It's always there. But it's just the way I handle it with others to handle it.
Well, I think that's a really powerful realisation. Accepting that you're never going to get rid of it. You have to develop strategies to actually deal with it, and that you can actually have power over this.
You can have power over it, and you've got to learn to. The first step really is to accept it. A lot of people try and fight it.
Yeah.
You've got to learn to actually say, yeah, I do have a problem. Put your hand up and seek help, and which I've been able to do over the last 15 months. I've had my second episode, but I went for years without any help or any problems with people. I was dealing with it quite well. It was until I got in a situation where the boss wasn't great and there was bullying and harassment that really led it back up again. So I was cruising along nicely and then I wasn't right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my fault that happened.
But you still took responsibility for it. I think what I really admire about your journey is that you, despite the bad experience with your previous supervisor, you went to your new supervisor and actually was very open and said that you needed help. That takes a lot of courage.
And I think, thank you, but it also takes a lot of courage on the supervisor to actually take the time and listen.
Yeah,
and help.
That's true.
Now, if you don't have that type of supervisor, it's not going to help you. And another thing for all supervisors and managers out there, you don't be afraid to ask for help yourself. From some senior managers. That's what I would encourage the junior managers to do. Try and seek help from senior managers and try and not rely on one who's maybe push your side like that. Try and find somebody that will support you through it.
Yeah, and they are out there.
Yeah, they are out there. There's got to be out there.
Yeah.
There's my wife, my supervisor, my friends and colleagues who have been able to open up a little bit too. They've been really supportive of me. They keep an eye on me, which is great.
Right, yeah.
And they can see that sometimes they'll walk past going, "You all right?" because they can see something on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And also I've had to come back to it. But yeah, it's just been good having a good work environment. And the only way people know that you've got a problem is to actually speak up sometimes, which is very hard to do. It's one of the hardest parts.
It is. It's scary.
It's scary to do because you don't know what your reaction is going to be from your colleagues, and because a lot of people just don't know how to react to it when somebody tells them, "Hey, I've got a mental health issue," and that's what it is, and you just got to say, "Well, this is my problems. Can you keep an eye on me?"
Yeah.
And people will say, "Yes, they will."
Mm.
But yeah, so I've been fortunate enough in this in my current position, and I've been very fortunate, and I don't think I will leave that area for a while.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. And I think the thing I love so much about your story is that you were so brave in being vulnerable, and people talk about the universe rising up to meet you. You got the support that you needed.
Yes. Yeah, that was very important. You're still working through that, but every day, I know I'm blessed that I'm still here because there are times where you felt suicidal and that. So at times you just think, well, I'm here for my family, and that's great, and they're fairly understanding now. But they know it's a struggle for me, so they know that.
One of the things I've found challenging is, when people are really open, some of them even on social media saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm thinking of one person in particular who's going through a really tough time, and a lot of people ignore the post. They don't know what to do, so...
Yeah, that's the hard thing. People don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And all I say is, if you see that, just a simple question, are you okay? That's a great little thing that's going around. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about it? Just get somebody, there's no shame in asking the people. And they'll say, more than likely they'll be more grateful for it that you did ask.
And I think one of the things I've found is, it's happened to me a couple of times where I've seen something that worries me and I've spoken out, and the majority of the time people are pretty good about it and they respond positively, but sometimes people get a bit narky because they might have written something and you've taken it in a way they didn't mean. And I would encourage anybody who wants to speak up just to do it, not to be afraid if you get a negative reaction. I would rather take that risk than not. Yeah,
you find that a lot of mine was the isolation that I had through my plan. Both my experiences through the work environment, I was chucked on the garbage heap by both work. In fact, people I thought I'd work with and thought were my friends, well, they didn't bother ringing. So it's when you get that feeling, you just go, well, okay.
No, I know what that's like, because
Yeah, and that's happened a couple of times to me. So you'll really know who your friends are if when you can get to a situation like that.
You do. As my mum says, hi Mum, if you have 5 good friends who are there for you through thick and thin in life, you're lucky.
You are. Yeah.
And they can come out from the most unexpected places. Like I've found that people that you may not be as close to rise up and they're amazing, and you go, wow.
Yes, and people, sometimes I've got one friend of mine who's a very quiet man, but he's been around in my life now for nearly 26, 27 years, and he's always, I know I can talk to him about his problems, and he can talk to me about, I can talk to him about mine, and we both lost a very good friend a couple of years ago, which was very traumatic for both of us, and so I was like 3 amigos, and we're now down to 2 amigos, and we just keep in contact, just say you're going okay, and stuff like that, and which is good. It's a good backstop for me to talk to.
But I think what you keep mentioning isolation, and I think it's really important for people to realise that even though we have all of this social media, I think it actually fuels a sense of isolation because people get lazy. They think just liking a few posts is enough, but that's not enough, is it?
No, it was a post-traumatic stress, and you're really depressed. I think you don't really aim towards that.
Okay.
Because you know it's not real.
Okay.
It's really nice to have actual talk face to face, and you can help people also send them a text or send them something on Facebook, whatever the case may be, because a lot of it, they don't know how real it is when they receive it. So
yeah, that's so true, and I think something I've really noticed, when I've had periods of being unwell is people are just so busy they don't think to ask you how you're going, if you need just someone to come over and visit.
Yeah.
That seems to be an old-fashioned thing.
I think so. Yeah, the old adage go. When I was in my policing, I used to have my own little patrol, and I used to call and have a cup of tea with people.
Yeah.
Just reach out to them, and that was my way of reaching out to people. So then come to me, I went to them and just pulled up and said, "Oh, there you go. Just have a cup of tea. What's your problems?" That's very much what you need to do with anybody who's got post-traumatic stress or depression, as it is. You need to actually reach out to them and say, "You're okay, sit down, make a cup of tea," and they'll open up to you eventually. They won't do it straight away, but they will open up eventually.
And it's not necessarily about going specifically to talk. It could be just to go for a walk together or come and hang out while I make a cake or something.
Yeah, it's just been making them feel good, because they just don't feel good.
Yeah.
It's really you really feel like crap. I guess.
So it sounds like just being around another person, you don't necessarily need to be saying anything, but just being in the presence of someone and knowing that they care enough to be there for you is really helpful.
It's helpful, yes.
So if anybody is, dealing with a friend or a family member who needs a bit of support, I think that's a good thing to remember. Just you don't need to go and have a big chat. Just invite them over to watch a movie or to help you while you potter around doing something. That can sometimes be enough, because I know a lot of people get intimidated and they think, how do I deal with this? It can be a lot simpler than
it can be a lot simpler.
I just wanted to ask you, if you could go back in time to the young Graham,
yes,
the young police officer, what advice would you give him?
That's a very good question. Just be strong through your career. There's no real advice on post-traumatic stress I'll give you, because it's something that just happens, and you can't control what you're involved with. To me, it would be just be strong where you are and be there for people who need you, and to help others if you can. If you go once I've got say PTSD, and when I started seeing my problems, I could see other problems with other people as well. So I would say to that person is, if you see the cranky old senior constable, he's cranky for a reason. Just leave him be. And the amount of alcohol abuse that's within policing at that time was very high. So it was there to say, help other people who feel like that. So you see cranky old senior constable sergeants, they're cranky for a reason.
That is a really interesting observation, because I think a lot of us assume if someone's cranky, it's because they're cranky with us. But a lot of the time, it's not. It's nothing to do with us.
It's nothing to do with it. They're not able to open up enough to deal with the problems. It's just made them that way that they are now. And a lot of the times they don't know how to deal with it. So the best thing to do is, if you see people in those situations, go up and have a talk to them. If they don't say anything, well, that's okay.
But they know you care.
Yeah, know they care.
And I think especially for men, it's really important, because they're not inclined generally to go and seek help for health issues. They're the last ones to go to the doctor. So for something like this, where there's a bit of a stigma, reluctant.
When I started going back to the young Graham, I would have just said, and it wasn't thought of when I started in policing, and it's been there for a long time. It was dealt with by getting drunk. And having the sport, but a lot of times that was just more of an attribute towards another disease. I've had colleagues who I thought were very good police end up losing their marriages and everything due to the drink. So I would say just don't drink.
And that's something that I keep being so impressed by with you. You know, you don't drink.
No, I don't drink, no.
Yeah. Was that always a conscious choice?
I made a conscious choice of that when I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. Because
of the position I was in at that time as a police officer.
Okay.
I was working in a one-man station, and I knew that I had to be there for people in the community, and I wouldn't be fair on them if I was under the weather. I was drunk. If when they needed me, I'm drunk out then, so I consciously go out drinking for that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be labelled a drunk boy in the community.
Yeah. And it's very impressive because I think, nowadays a lot of people are more conscious of their health and are fine saying I don't drink.
No, I'm not against people having alcohol at all. It's my choice if I don't drink.
Yeah.
But there is a point when it comes to having a nice couple of drinks to a point where you're drinking every night.
Mm.
And I've seen that with my career and that, where people would, on their way home, would buy a cask of wine every night.
Yeah. Some people like that too.
So, and you just think, okay. I'm
Can you give your big up people, please?
Yeah, I'm talking about fellow police officers at that time, and drinking on duty, saying that. I don't think it's prevalent now, but in the early days it was.
Yeah. It was more accepted though, wasn't it?
It was more accepted, yes.
Yeah. All right. Look, is there anything else you wanted to say about your journey, or just to give people some tips if they're experiencing something similar?
I'll give most tips away I've got. Just always seek help if you can. You're not alone. There are programs out there to help you. And just seek help. Find it. Don't think you're alone.
That's the thing. So many people nowadays, and this is something I talk about a lot, you've got the Instagram, the perfect life on Facebook. People always put the happy snaps up. And life isn't like that for anybody.
Most people are not like what they see on Facebook and Snapchat and that. That's not real life. That can be made up as much as you want.
Exactly.
It's just a storytelling program.
I like that.
It's always a storytelling program. You're telling everybody a story.
The story you want them to see.
Yeah. There's no difference. It's just a movie.
I love it. There you go, Facebook. You're movie makers. Well, look, thank you, Graham, for sharing your story, being so brave.
Thank you.
Now, anybody out there, if this has touched a nerve with you, there are plenty of free resources on the internet. In Australia, we've got Black Dog Institute, we've got sane.org. Beyond Blue too, yeah. And if you want to talk more about Graham's experience or how I can help you as a coach, I'll put a link down below this video to my calendar, and you can have a free 20-minute chat with me to see if I'm able to help you. Thanks again. I hope you found this video helpful, and take care.